Hi, I'm Venus O'Hara and welcome to a new video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to find your voice as a content creator. I've been a content creator for 15 years, a very long time, and back in 2009 when I started my own personal blog, venusohara.org, the word influencer or content creator didn't even exist. So I have been on a very long journey and I would like to share some of my wisdom with you today. It's interesting because apparently lots of school children really want to be YouTubers and content creators, and for me it was something that kind of came to me. It's not something I chose. It just kind of landed in my lap, which was another story for another video. But anyway, I often give advice to people about starting their own content creation journey based on my own experiences and opinions, and I will be offering that to you if you'd like to have a one-on-one session with me. I will leave you details later. Well, actually, here it is, venusohara.org. Let's talk, so you can book a session with me. Anyway, let's get into the video. I've got several points here to share with you. So the first thing is, it seems quite glamorous to be a content creator, but it is hard work, even though it might not look like it when you're scrolling through Instagram or watching videos on YouTube. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of effort and there's a lot of creativity, sometimes creative burnout, which is very real. And also, it's just a case of perseverance and consistency. Consistency is so important because at first, it does take a long time. It can take a very long time until you start to see some results. You've got to keep on going, despite the fact that you've got no views, no audience. But the good thing about that time is that this is a time to experiment because no one's really watching. So that's the time to kind of get used to it, because it's all a process. It's not just a process of creating an audience, but it's also for you as a creator. It's a whole process of learning just to actually make a video. It's taken me such a long time. But the first thing, that wasn't really the first thing, that's kind of an intro. The first point I want to make is before you decide to be a content creator is to know why you want to be a content creator. That's so important because I think sometimes the profession of being a content creator is glamorized, but you have to be very clear about what's the reason. Do you have a message for the world? Do you just want to be seen and famous? I think it's always better to have a message that's consistent, that feels close to your heart, something like that, and to be very sure about it, because once you start making content online, it's there for a very long time, and that can really affect your personal life, professional life if you have another job, and your future. So you have to think very carefully, is this for me? Think about it very carefully because it's not always glamorous. What you see of people online is an edited version of what their life is like. So that's very, 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 very important. The next point I would like to make is about the topics that you want to talk about. You have to choose something that is going to be, interesting for you to talk about, something and also something that you're going to be able to talk about for a long time, not just for 6 months or a year, but maybe 5-10 years. Something that's kind of, and as you evolve, can your topics evolve with you as well? I've seen that happen with lots of content creators that I watch. Now, it's nice to see someone's evolution, but you have to really think about those topics. What are you an expert in? What can you share with the world? What is your message? So it's good to have clarity about that. But also when you're starting off, it is also a time for experimentation. So you can kind of see what resonates with your evolving, emerging audience, what you enjoy. Because I do think about some content creators who are making, let's say, content on a very specific topic. I'm not going to mention any names of anyone here, but for example, there are, creators that I watch, let's say in the topics of spirituality or law of attraction, and I find that once you've watched, let's say, 5 of these videos, they're all very repetitive, the same message. And that can be really good for the algorithm because on those videos that have very similar topics, just different, titles or order of ideas, they're still going to have the same keywords. So that means in the algorithm is going to understand that channel is important for that topic. So in that sense, you can kind of get an audience quite quickly. But from the creator's perspective, that can get very boring after a while, because I can think of some people that I've been watching for years who make videos in the topics that I'm interested in, and I can just see that they're just bored, but the viewers might just be expecting, the same kind of content from them. And sometimes when creators radically change, sometimes they lose an audience as well because they're not quite, living up to expectations. But that's very important to know, what's more important to you. Because at first I do think it's important to think about search engine optimization, the SEO, and algorithms. But just an example of that. But when you do have a big audience, you don't need to think about that at all because it doesn't matter. For example, I don't watch any kind of reality TV, but I've just been made aware of what's her name, Molly May, the person from the Love Island in the UK who's just broken up with her boyfriend. And apparently her generation think they've equated that separation to Charles and Diana. It's like a big thing amongst that generation. And anyway, she had her silence online for a while, and then she came with she made a video after a long silence just called Hi in the title. And that's a real lesson of, that she doesn't have to think about SEO or algorithms because she's got a huge audience. So when you've got your audience, you can be more creative. But I think when you're starting out, it's good to think about maybe topics that are trending. I mean, you can always give your spin, not just follow trends, but you can take a trending topic and give it your vision or whatever it is you're talking about. For example, let's say something that's in the news, you can give it a spiritual focus that feels authentic to you. And maybe you could have some kind of trending topics and then put some more creative ones in amongst them, things that you might be more passionate about. But it's good to kind of experiment with just many different things at the beginning, different formats, different topics maybe. But I think it's good to have a kind of a general idea of what the general topic that you're going to be talking about is. And then within that topic, there are many subtopics that you can explore, and then you can see what's working in terms of views and impact, and also what you're enjoying the most. And then the next thing I want to talk about is, let me just see if I've just said everything here. Yeah, I think I have. The next point I wanted to make is it's very important to have good personal boundaries. That's so important when you are online, because I think people think when you're online anything goes, your life is an open book, but that's not really true. I mean, in my case, my life is very private. When I'm offline, nothing goes off. My offline life does not exist online. I am a content creator, and I have a big message for the world about helping people to prioritize pleasure, to have a healthier life. And so that's what's important to me. But I never show my friends on social media, my relationships. I just keep everything very private. It's very important to know as well, like where you're living. I know I have a friend once who started a TikTok account, and she had this TikTok about showing off about where she lived and the great views she had. And I think that's just, you don't do that. You got to kind of back it down. That's an ego thing, saying, look what I've got. But you have to really dial back on those things and think about, even if you have a small audience, there's still people watching you, and the people that might not have your best interests at heart. So that's very, very, very important as well, to have those personal boundaries in place. And also if you're doing kind of story time formats where you are talking about things that you've experienced maybe with family or friends or relationships, and remember, if those are real people, you have to think about their privacy and your own privacy as well. It's very important. You don't want to be ruining your own personal life, just for the cause of content. It's not a good idea to do that at all. So for me, I never speak about my life in real time. Everything I've spoken about that's personal on here is something that's happened a very long time ago. And sometimes the details of the people, it's not really about who they were, it's about how they made me feel. So I'm always the protagonist of my stories. So that's very, very important to think about as well, because maybe the people you're speaking of are not content creators. They do not want to be online. And that's very important. You don't want to give your power away like that. And for me, I tend to attract very private people in my life anyway, so that's something that I'm very aware of. So what else about personal boundaries? So it's just very important to know what is private in your life. For example, I don't really make videos in my bedroom. I think it's just too private, for example. So it's just knowing, like, maybe in terms of location, what you're going to show, who you're going to talk about, what you're going to talk about. So know where those lines are. That's very, 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 very important. Next point I want to make is influences. For example, I think it's good to know the type of creators that you like and the type of content that you like. Maybe the content you like is not the content you want to create. It's important to take your influences with a pinch of salt and understand that just because someone is doing something one way doesn't mean that you have to do it a certain way. For example, there are many creators out there who don't put text on their thumbnails, and I don't put text on my thumbnails because I just think it's too much work. And I don't think it's necessary. So just because someone's doing something a certain way doesn't mean that you have to. Sometimes when I see other people's websites, I get, this kind of, it's not like mine. And I automatically assume that theirs is better, or that's the way you should do it. And this is a very, terrible way of thinking, that limited belief that I have personally. And I think I'm not the only one in that sense. But it's very good to be, sure of yourself and sure about what your message is and what your online identity is and what it is you want to portray. So it's good to kind of look around and what's around and understand what you like, what you don't like, but it's also be sure about the type of content you want to make and the style. I think something else I wanted to make to talk about here is also the recording style. For example, some people make videos with ring lights and this high-tech equipment, and they're doing lots of jump cuts. But I've just got natural light, no makeup on, and I'm going to making a one-take video. So that's my style personally. It's not how I started. If you look at my old videos, please don't, like from 10 years ago. I was so shy about making videos because that wasn't something that I chose. I was asked to make videos from some of my clients, and I was thinking, I've got to eat, so let's do this. But I felt so shy when I was pressing that record button, and it probably comes across. So I felt like transforming and becoming someone else, wearing glasses, wearing silly hairdos, and kind of wearing a uniform, like pretending I was a laboratory assistant, talking about sex toys. That kind of helped me, that kind of liberated me in front of the camera. But it wasn't until 2018 when I actually did a 30-day challenge, which I've spoken about many times here. My number one tip for gaining some kind of confidence in front of the camera is consistency, and doing a 30-day challenge, uploading every single day for a month. Because what that brings you is it gets you more relaxed in front of the camera, and also it will be good for the algorithm. And then there will be people who come back every day, and you can just try lots of things out during that time, and you can kind of see what you enjoy more, etc. Because consistency is rewarded in the algorithm, so that's very, very important. And also what I found with that, the biggest learning that I found from that process was that the first few days, I was talking, "Hi, I'm Venus O'Hara," and it was just like, oh my god. But now, and then I got to day 24, and I made no mistakes, and I had a one-take video. And now, ever since then, I make one-take videos. It doesn't really matter if I mess up somehow. I'll just keep going because I've got that confidence now, and I've got I just feel a lot more confident and a lot more relaxed, and also to a point where I'm not dreading making videos. I'm actually looking forward to it, because back in the day, 10 years ago, I used to really dread making videos, like, oh, I've got to do this because I'm getting paid to. But I wasn't really enjoying it. But now I am, because I've actually broken through my own barriers or my own boundaries and my own limitations just from consistency. Because consistency is a big thing that's going to be rewarded on many levels. For the algorithm, for your audience, and for your own comfort and recording style. That's very, very, very important. So don't be too influenced by what other people do, and think about what's the vibe you want to give to your audience. Do you want to have a video with lots of B-roll and have these different video or kind of images in it? Do you want to have jump cuts? Do you want to have text on your video? That's a lot of work. I just want to, I'm going to make this video and I'll literally clip the ends off and upload it. So it's like really low production. I prefer a low production because it's not really about the production. I think it's about the message. And also I do want to contribute to a more natural natural image of creation in general. I'm just so proud of the fact that I don't feel pressure to put lots of makeup on, to have lots of lights on me, to edit, to put filters, etc. So that's something that's part of my message personally. And it wasn't always the case, but yeah, so for me, that's my style. But it did take me a long time to get there. Anyway, next point, authenticity and vulnerability. So, people use the word authenticity far too much, but it's very important to be authentic. And I think whenever you watch a creator who's actually blown up or had some kind of big growth, it's usually when they have been vulnerable or authentic in some way. But you have to be very careful about that don't be vulnerable just to get views. That's so important, because I remember I was talking to another creator about a year ago, and he was making all these videos for YouTube and it wasn't really taking off. And he was going to talk about a family tragedy. And I was just thinking, I asked him, why? Why are you going to talk about that? Because I was thinking, that's just something so personal. Why would you want that on YouTube unless it's something that's part of your bigger message? And you have to think, is it for the views? Is it because this is something that's very important as part of my content, part of my online identity? Is it part of my message? So I think you have to really, be very careful about authenticity. Well, not about authenticity, but about vulnerability especially, because you have to be, as I said earlier, you have to have those boundaries very clear. It's very, very important. But in general, I think you can talk about life and your challenges and vulnerabilities in a way that's not personally compromising. That's something that I try to do, because I don't really refer to time or to specific people when I share vulnerable things on here. So yeah, that's very, very, very important. So next thing, being seen. I know a lot of people who are starting their content creation journey, and this is something that is a bit of a it's a bit of a contradiction, because they want to have the views and the content creator lifestyle, but at the same time they feel uncomfortable at the thought of being seen by strangers online. And that's something that you have to be very aware of. People who don't like you are going to be watching you, and they're going to have all these opinions about you without even knowing you, and you have to be okay with that. And that's why, for me, I'm kind of happy that my growth has been kind of gradual over 15 years. There have been peaks and troughs when I've done lots of media here in Spain, because I've published 3 books in Spain. I've been on lots of media. I've done lots of TV, lots of radio, been on the front page of magazines and things like that. So I've had times where I've had a lot of attention, and then it's gone down again. So those moments are kind of difficult, because a lot of people are just thinking, what are you talking about? It's scandalous. And people who don't know you at all, using your image and then tweeting about you and talking, saying lies. It's like, oh my God, you gotta let go, and be okay with it. Have a thick skin. And now that is the kind of the price to pay for being online, really. So they do say, what is the expression? If they're talking about you, it's just all good or something. I don't know. But that can be very hard to deal with. I remember years ago I wrote an article for El País, which is Spain's biggest newspaper, and it was called How to Be a Good How to Be a Good Wife, because I'd come across someone who had this thing in England called wife school, and I thought, that's fascinating. And it was kind of like by a former mistress who wanted to prevent infidelity, and I just thought that the concept was fascinating. I wasn't agreeing and saying this is great. I was just like, wow, what is this, And all of these someone in El País changed the title of my article and called it The Good Wife Guide, and that was a term that was actually used in the Franco era about how to be a good wife. It's very kind of misogynistic, so this kind of rubbed a lot of feminist organizations up the wrong way. I was in the firing line, even though in my article I said you can never prevent this, but this is what their advice is. I wasn't kind of advocating for the actual wife school, but the point I'm trying to make is that I was in the firing line of I got trolled for several days online, and it was something that I was not quite prepared for, because I just kind of wrote an article a bit tongue in cheek, but so many people were offended by it, and I didn't actually read it slowly. They just jumped to conclusions because one person said this, and then they were copying and pasting. And at first I was kind of like ha ha he when I saw some negative tweets about me. But as the day went on, it got tiring. Like, oh my God, how many more criticisms can I receive today? You know, but it ended up being 3 days of nonstop. My editor phoned me and congratulated me, and I had to write a kind of comeback article. So I wrote, how to be a good husband. But the point is it was very difficult to deal with, and some people don't understand what that's like, to actually be so visible, and then people misunderstanding what you're about, and that's very, very frustrating. But you have to kind of let go. I mean, I read a comment on a video recently about smoking in public, and some people made some awful comments in response to what I'd said, and I was going to intervene, and I thought, no, step back, let go. So you have to be okay with people misunderstanding you, criticizing you, and just not understanding you. So it's just how you have to really let go of because those kind of people can also be making hateful comments on your channel, which happens to me a lot. I've got a few videos that are very provocative and divisive on here, but I leave all of those comments because I think I don't want to have a channel that has censored comments. I just want to leave everything there because I think it's interesting I think it shows strength of character as well, unless it was something very personal or, but in general they are criticizing what I've said, not me personally. But I just like to leave everything there because there will always be someone who will defend me. Yeah, thank you. So I like to leave those things there. But you have to have a very thick skin to be able to handle that. And last but not least, monetization. Yeah, this is something that people always ask. Like, this is about, but when you have to, it's important to have a voice that's consistent if you want to get to that point of getting sponsorships and maybe affiliate marketing. So there's so many ways of making money through content. And you don't even have to have a big audience, which is a big myth. It's not always about having a big audience. Sometimes you can be a micro influencer and still have a big influence, because sometimes when people have hundreds of thousands of followers, they're not always influencing hundreds and thousands of people. They don't have all of those people buying their products or listening to their endorsements. So sometimes it's about quality rather than quantity. And yes, there are many ways of monetizing your own community, and that's probably why people want to become a content creator, because you can it's a very nice lifestyle and you can live on your own terms, which is just so nice. For me, what I appreciate most is being in charge of my time. That's just so nice, to wake up in the morning without an alarm and think, am I going to make a video today, or should I make a podcast? It's kind of a nice lifestyle that I've cultivated. Through lots of hard work, self-belief, and just consistency, which I cannot emphasize enough. That's the big thing. So I actually give I've mentored lots of people about starting their content creation journey, or people who want to actually shift in their topics or something like that. So if you are interested in booking a call with me, here are the details: vinasahara.org. Let's talk. And I'll leave a link in below as well if you actually want to book me directly through Calendly. Yeah, so that's it. So if you want to become a content creator, if you want to find your voice, these are my tips, and I've got many more if you are serious about that and you'd like to speak to me one-on-one. And if you have anything to add, please don't hesitate to contact me. And also, another thing that took me a very long time is actually having a lead magnet to collect emails. So that's why I always talk about my life upgrade meditation, which is a free meditation that I'm giving away for free, obviously, which is a 16-minute meditation of 100 affirmations that represent 12 areas of the life wheel. Because it's very hard for me, because I talk about many topics. And I was thinking, what can I give away to everyone? Not everyone is interested in sex toys, not everyone's interested in spirituality or other things that I talk about on here, but I do think everyone wants to upgrade their life. So that's why I have chosen this as my lead magnet, to bring people into my community, my more personal community. So there it is. So the link is in the description below if you would like to receive my amazing meditation, which I'm very proud of. And then I can get your email. Anyway, that's a top tip as well for any content creator. I really regret not doing that earlier. I really do. Anyway, that is it for today. Thank you for watching. And if you have any comments, any tips, any additional tips, we would all love to learn. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Mwah.